I'd love to set you on the tripod, but I'm still cleaning the sap off of it. This is the second cleaning of this thing. Every time I grab it, I stick to it. Damn kitchen, you know what I mean? Is your kitchen the same? I hope it was worth it. The kitchen looks really nice out there. Welcome back to the worm. I don't know if we're going to be able to pack this all into one video, but we're going to try. It's up to 9 degrees outside right now, so I am not kitchening today. You guys remember when I started trying to learn how to do non-human tattoos in here? I was trying to learn how to make stencils and use stencil paper, just like you might have in second grade. You know, there's a carbon sheet, there's a see-through sheet. You got a picture, put your stencil paper in there, pull this guy over, then you can see through. You trace around here, and then you trace it again, and that picks up the carbon on the back. Then you stick this to your fake skin, and it leaves your blue traced outlines, and then you can tattoo over it. My thought is it would be cool if you had an iPad and you could use this to obviously get on the internet, find whatever picture you want, and then put this over top of the picture, and you have light behind it, so it's a lot easier to see. So I asked everybody I knew if they had an old iPad, because everybody's got an old iPad. Some of my mom's friends had some. These are 12 or 14 years old, I can't remember. I think second gen. They don't turn on unless you have them plugged in. And the glass on these old ones actually sounds different. It's separated from the screen itself by, and it kind of looks like an air gap, which means when you put the tracing paper on here, the image isn't really focused on the back of the paper, so you can't trace around it. Not too long ago, I was hanging out with Sarah, and she was using her iPad and the Apple Pencil with the program Procreate. I don't know if everybody's used that or nobody's used it. And I was kind of blown away. I tried it out myself, and holy cow, if you want to make tattoos, that's the way to go. So I got myself a new used iPad. It's the oldest one you could get and still use it with an Apple Pencil. This was like, I think $70 or something. And holy crap, is this so fun. It's kind of all I want to do. Well, this and build kitchens. But that new old iPad needs a case. This old iPad has this like, it's actually kind of cool how this is made. It's just magneted onto the side. And then it's got this little tripod stand, magnets to itself. But if you got this sitting on your lap, it's like super tippy. I want to make a new one. And I've got some leather. It's actually the leather left over from doing the furry window shades. Remember, this panel was like super old cowhide with the fur on it. We used the leather for binding and for that middle piece up there on all 3 window shades, but I still have a pretty good chunk of it left. Definitely enough for this project. And then, this is the weird part. Does anybody know if you can tattoo leather? That's what I want to do. I mean, obviously leather is skin, but when a needle goes into the smooth side, is it just going to puddle on the back of this kind of? I don't have any idea. I have some wax that I put on my fire boots every year to kind of recondition them and waterproof them. I'm wondering if we could put some of that on the leather, put it over the heater, soften it up a little bit, and then try tattooing. Let's try that when we get to it. See if we can scrounge up some materials around here to make this case other than just the leather. I think we need leather, and then maybe some kind of stiffer material inside. And we could cut this thing apart, use that. Although, yeah, we don't want it exactly that shape. This magnetic case, it sort of sticks, but it's made for a rounded edge, so we can't use that. Thought maybe we could use the magnets that stick this together, but it won't work through leather. You'd have to have it like hanging out the end or something. We don't want that. So I think the home crafty way to do this is like, how do you attach this to the leather? And I think you'd put like little straps around the corners. I think that's kind of corny. I'm wondering if we could tape this. I have some gnarly strong double-sided tape that years ago I convinced 3M to send me a sample of. I bet you could stick this leather to this thing and it would never come off. Oh, this is the other thing that's kind of cool. That's how it recharges. Just gonna leave myself a ton of fudge room here, so we'll make everything a little long. There's an edge, then it wraps under the bottom of it. And then it wraps over the top again. And then we need a kickstand, I don't know, let's say like that. So about yet long. Goes to there. And then we're going to need another little piece to, maybe we'll Velcro it at the back to hold the kickstand up. See, that's why we leave a whole bunch extra, because I already forgot to fit the pencil in there as well. So there's another 3/4 of an inch. Holy butt munch, Batman. Granola? No? It is cold. I was going to go start the heater in the man cave, but I don't know if it would get warm in there. What do you think of this? This is the tag off the chipper when I bought it a few years ago. I thought it was such nice material, I saved it. Maybe a slice of this sewn between a couple pieces of leather would give it a little bit of stiffness. So I might just leave this sticking out the edge. There's going to be 2 layers of leather and then something else in between it. And that would kind of protect the ends of the iPad too. Or I guess it'd be the top and the bottom. Oh, well, it's not quite wide enough, so I guess that's just how we'll do it all the way around. Anybody think this is going to work? I don't mean just the 3-inch champion chipper shredder page. I mean the whole thing. Ooze. My new used iPad had a hard life. It's got a puncture hole. Looks like it goes all the way through the case. Let's see if we can flip this in one piece. Perfect. Before we go too far, let's see if this will even work. I'm just gonna, I think you could use double-sided Scotch tape for this. I'm just gonna stick all this together so when I stitch it, it doesn't slide around. Do that again. Alright, so this is the inside of the case. This is going to get stuck to the iPad, hopefully. So I guess we need the shiny side out. Oh, wow, that's got a heck of a grip. I guess it's going right there. We'll just have to trim the edges. That'll work. So let's do these lines of stitches. Let's make it a 1/4 inch everywhere. Of course you can't get to the inside ones with this. Hey, wonder if you could just take this thing off of here and use a hammer. Yep, I bet that'll work just fine. Don't you love finding cheat codes like that? Through the magic of video editing, I just threw this right together, and these noodles here just showed up. I was having a hard time holding on to that little thing, so we got a nut and a bolt, cranked them together. Now you can just hold it and punch. Works great. I thought of that, it just came right to me. Didn't try anything else first, I just... This works great. It's important you don't forget about your noodles. Ew, yeah, they're like mush now. Found a little spool of waxed thread in my sewing stuff. That'll look kind of cool. So we'll start on the top here. So our knot will be inside there. Oh, it gets stuck in that plastic a little bit. One thing I do is I don't pull any of this very tight. I just kind of loosely do it so I can shift things around later. And then the end you can just go around and pull it little by little and tighten everything up as much as you want. I kind of like doing this stitch that goes around the edge. If you got a bunch of layers of something like this, it just kind of helps to hold it all together instead of doing this. Clearly there's no way to go around the edge, but this is just going to help keep it as one piece. as always, as with nails, I don't pound them in all the way until I'm completely done with something. I'm going to leave this hanging out the end just in case we gotta unthread it for something. Yeah, that looks nice enough for an iPad case. I'm not sure I have another tag off of a chipper. That was like the perfect stuff. Well, if I can't find anything else, I guess I'll just use cardboard. I actually think a lot of these are made with cardboard or paperboard on the inside. It would be plenty stiff. But what if I want to use my iPad underwater? You got to think about these things. I might have just gotten the best idea of my entire life. You know what's exactly the right size for that? This iPad doesn't even work. It's never going to work. It's never going to be used. Probably end up just being recycled. How about we pull the glass? Ooh. Or even the back case would work too. I just wouldn't be able to stitch through it. I could stitch right up to the edge of it though. Let's pull this sucker apart. Crapola. I don't have a suction cup. You gotta have a suction cup to get in there. I wonder if we could use really good duct tape. Would it stick hard enough? Step one in opening an iPad or iPhone. Turn your heater on high and let it chillax for a minute. Not sure what the best technique is. Let's try beastly tape and a razor blade. Oh, yeah, that's hot. You heat it up because there's like a black adhesive layer right behind the screen there. And usually, if you buy a kit to take this apart, they give you a suction cup. With the iPad so warm, my tape's not going to stick, so let's see. Luckily, we don't have to worry about breaking this. Usually do this with plastic tools. Oh yeah, I'm flexing it a lot. Let's try 2 razor blades, shall we? We'll get it open if we have to bash it with a rock. Wow, I can't believe it's not coming out. Well, guess we're not using that. Maybe we can still use the back of it. Now we can just rip this thing. Ah, crap. Now I'm gonna have a mess. Whew, it's a good thing they don't make them like they used to. That sucked. I don't know how many of these I've taken apart over the years, but I've never broken a screen. And this thing just shattered and shattered and shattered, but, you know, this is 2nd generation, so I'm sure the glass isn't like that anymore. If it wouldn't make such a big mess, I'd just take a angle grinder with a cutting disc and go right at the back of this, but I don't really want this glass and pieces all over the place, so I'll take it apart. And it's kind of fun when it doesn't matter if you rip out the ribbon cables or not. Talk about stuck in there, those are the batteries. And those have some crazy tape on the back of them too. Oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all this stuff out of here. Oh yeah, it's a good year. No idea what that thing does. That's an extra part. They all come with extra parts. We got her gutted and it's perfect. I didn't realize how thin these back covers are. Just gonna have to chop that out. I don't know anything about electronics, but it always interests me when I open these. Half of the volume of an iPad is batteries. We need better battery technology, don't we? Oh, and I got myself a new camera out of the deal, so that's good. Take a lot of very small pictures with that. Macro. So I guess most of this is junk. I'll have to recycle those batteries somewhere. Let's see if after all that, if this will actually work. Oh, I didn't get the speakers out yet. A lot of bass in those, a lot of bass. You want me to save these? You want to put them in your car or something? Oh yeah, check this out too. I believe this is all of the computing power in an iPad. I don't think there's anything else I pulled out. So this would be the CPU and the GPU, I guess, both in there. Look how freaking thin that is. It's nothing. I had about a quarter of a second of panic that I tore apart the wrong iPad, but I didn't. This one still had the pencil stuck to it. That's kind of perfect. I was thinking I could just cut a piece out of the bottom, but I'm gonna have to cut all the way around the sides. Luckily, this is super light aluminum and mostly hollow, so it shouldn't be a problem. You know, I do get a kick about thinking about me doing this stuff. Like, you could buy a really nice iPad cover and stand for what, like 15 bucks or something? Even if you were gonna make one by yourself from leather, you could just go out and find something to use for the inside of it for stiffness. But to actually take an iPad apart, I just spent like 2 hours pulling this thing apart. And you know what? I think it's great because it makes absolutely no sense to do, but it's awfully fun. You know, after mentioning that last week about it getting really dark in there, I think I'm going to do the skylight. I don't see why not. I helped my dad do one in his house one time. That's all my experience with it. But, I mean, it's a flat roof. There's nothing fancy around it. I think we can figure it out. Don't worry, I'll go back and get the batteries that you forgot. Right there. Can you get the door at least? I'm carrying everything here. Man. It's too late in the day and not enough light. Oh, maybe we should do a skylight in the man cave too. I can't work on this in there because I can't see anything. Oh, that's going to be a little slick, ain't it? I don't know if anybody's ever told you this before, but in this life, you're allowed to do stupid stuff like this just because it's fun. I've probably told you that before. I do think a lot of people need some kind of permission to do it. You've got my permission. Just do it. We're all so good at it when we're kids, and then we forget that it's even allowed. I think everybody should make an iPad case out of an iPad. Something hard in there. It's nice because aluminum's really soft and easy to cut through, but it just gums everything up. Yeah, all gummed on the edge. We'll just keep going. There's some steel. Do we need that piece? I think that's an extra one too. Look at that, wasn't so bad. You want to know the funniest part of all this? There's still one flap, the actual kickstand, that I don't have a piece for. I'm gonna use a chunk of this box, and there's plenty of that. Oh, you know what? There's not. It's got creases in it. I was just gonna say, could have made this out of the box too. I mean, I have other boxes. It would have worked, but that's just stupid. Man, it was blowing so hard yesterday. It was actually kind of scary because the weather was so bad. I didn't take a shower last night and I feel disgusting, so we're gonna have to knock this off so I can go get clean and have a salad or something. Oh, you know, one thing we need to do, we're gonna do a tattoo on the front of this thing, and I want to tattoo it tomorrow. I could work on the layout tonight. What should we tattoo on there? Oh, we could do a few things. What's ringworm? Ringworm is a cabin and a chainsaw and maybe a tree. There's still enough light. I'm gonna go take pictures of those things real quick before it gets dark, and then we can lay it out after a shower. I was gonna do the big saw, but it's in the mill. Anything else real quick that seems really ringworm? What do I do all day? Cut down trees, drag them with the four-wheeler, mill them with the chainsaw, build junk. We just need one good picture of a cedar tree, but in the forest you can't really get a picture of one. Actually, there's one cedar tree that I really like down here. Can't wait to tattoo this stuff. I'll just do it on one of my butt cheeks if it doesn't work on the iPad case. Alright, I'm gonna go get clean. You should probably do the same. Here, yeah, you need it. See you in a little bit. Hey, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I just woke up again. I'm hideous. We had really nice weather yesterday, so I popped outside, did a little outside work, and of course, everything's freaking sappy again. I did most of the outlining on the iPad the other night for the tattoo on this thing. How about we finish putting this thing together, and then I'll show you what I've done so far, and we can finish drawing it up. Alright, so let's see. The kickstand is this part, and then the Velcro part is this part. I think for this little piece, let's just use this piece of the case. So that'll go on the end right there. Ooh, I hope I can sneak the holes in outside of that thing. So I don't think I can punch through that. That is exactly the right size, which is, you know, not planned at all. And these iPads are not the same size, so just by chance, this is going to touch the screen. So let's put this side out. So we'll stick it like, which means I just marked the wrong side of this thing. Well, let's just punch the holes through and we can see them on the other side. This probably doesn't need to be tightened really, but some of these are quite loose, so we'll just do it a little bit. Just do a little square knot in here. Little super glue generally keeps them from coming out. Okay, that's a little too much super glue. You know how you're working on that one thing and then something pops into your head and you know it's just a great idea, so you have to work on that a little bit? It happened. I went out to get my collection of industrial double-sided tapes from the man caves. That's not plural. Did I say man caves? Anyway, my 22 is sitting here, so I had to take that out because I'm working on the next project already. Sarah brought this up. I don't know if she knew what a great idea it was at the time. These are inside the pack of 22 rounds. It's a 50 round box, like that. And that's what's inside it. I mentioned that these had to be good for something, and Sarah said, oh, like a light bright. Thinking about chainsaw carving some kind of a wooden box out of a log, setting all these in it, putting a light behind them, and then use spent 22 shells to make a light bright in reverse. I knew you'd think that was a good idea, but I don't have enough of these to make a light bright yet, so I had to go, you know, get rid of some ammo. Shabizzle! Worked on this last night. I ended up taking it back apart. I wanted to put the Velcro pads on there and sew them on, but I didn't want it to come through to the other side, so I just took the panel off, sewed this, and then stitched the whole thing back on. Looks pretty sweet, doesn't it? See? Closes right there. Nice and secure. Or you open it all the way up, you stick it on there, and there's your stand. Now, we could tape that on, but we have tattooing to do first. Maybe we should do a little one there. I was thinking we'd have this whole side to tattoo on. I really wanted to do a big one on there. You know what? You go with what you want, always. Just get what you want. So this is what I've been messing with a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time doing this. Maybe later on we'll do a tattoo. We'll take a picture of a bug under the microscope and we'll do all this editing and then we'll actually tattoo it. But I am very new to this program. I'll show you what I figured out though so far. Take that picture, lighten it up a little bit, and throw another layer on there. So we're drawing not right on the picture. And then you just go through and outline stuff however you like. You can choose to outline that. You could put all these lines in here. I'm just doing some of the bigger, bolder things here. This program does about 1,000 times more than I know how to use thus far. But check this out. This is the cool thing. If you suck at drawing, yeah, just kind of sloppily make that. Hold it down. Oh, look at that. Turns it into a nice ellipse for you that you can move around. And then we just chuck it in here wherever we want. This should be the size of the front of the iPad. I don't know. I'm not real good at this layout thing. Mostly because I've never done it. I tried outlining the tree, but honestly it looked like garbage. There's just not enough detail on the inside. The other thing is, I have to draw this in a way that I can actually tattoo it. And you guys know I've been tattooing for what, like a month or two? And it's going to be on nice dry leather, so I think the less detail, the better. So I'm thinking something like that. And then, if I can remember, Sarah showed me a trick. Cabin, alpha lock. See how we can erase just behind that? That's cool. And then we go Honda. Alpha lock, eraser. Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't exactly do it for me, but I think we're going to go for it. And since we got some spare space here, maybe we could throw some text in there. Add text. How about SR? Surviving ringworm. That's kind of big and bold. Oh, you know what we need is some kind of weird drop shadow. Duplicate. Yeah, how about something like that? Because we're not going to do any shading with the tattoo, so we could just do the black lines around there. That would look cool. Cool. There we go. I am just becoming aware of how absolutely Looney Tunes this is to do this here with no power and no Wi-Fi. So now I got to get that to a very, very old printer. This thing has been in a box for I don't know how long. So I can hotspot my phone to this, email it to myself, get on my computer with the hotspot from my phone, download it, and send it to the ancient printer. Will that work? I got it. I can hear some people saying, why on earth are you living out there in the woods without power and you still have all that electric crap? Why don't you just move back to the city? I don't want to. It's actually fun to figure out how to get this stuff to work when you're out here. Come on, old printer. It's working. Go printer. You're the man or whatever. And it blew it up. That is not the size of the case. Fit to page. See, we don't want that. So silly. Print again if you please. Turn the camera on 1 second too late. You should have hear the moaning sounds this printer makes. Alright, looks like that fits. I don't know if you guys have seen how we do these tattoos with the printer. It just keeps you from having to draw the lines one extra time, so it keeps everything a little bit crisper. It's not obviously not like I have a ton of space out here, but I had about this much on one shelf that was unused, so I dug the old printer out. And I mean, if I'm doing tattooing like once a week or something, it seems worth it to me. But of course, someday if I keep doing this, I'm going to have to get an actual stencil printer, because they're about an eighth the size of this printer, and this would come out as the stencil. You could stick this right on the fake skin, or, you know, on the iPad case, whatever you're working on. I wasn't sure if you could actually tattoo on this, so I tried a little piece, and I thought you could probably get the ink to stick in the leather, but I wasn't sure about the splatter. Like, as you're tattooing and you get little blobs of ink, you got to wipe them up. I was afraid it was just going to soak right into this. So I tried tattooing right here. This leather has nothing on it, and the little blob that I tried wiping up did soak right in. By the time you're done, this whole thing would just be a big black smudge. This was the boot wax. I put that on here. This corner I tried Vaseline, put it on the whole thing. It wasn't too difficult to wipe the ink off. And then this is Ink Ease. It's actually made for tattooing, and that, surprise, worked the best. The only thing I didn't try yet is to see if a stencil would actually stick to any of this. So I got a little bit of stencil carbon on the back here. Let's see if we can, oh man, I don't know if it's gonna work. Put the teensiest bit of stencil stuff on there. Now you can see it's getting dark, kind of sinking in. Yep, that works. So unlike skin, we're never going to get that stencil off of there. So when I trace this, I'm just going to have to use a really fine pen, and then we're going to have to tattoo with a really fat liner. Make sure all the stencil gets covered with ink. I guess all we need is the carbon. Looks like we got it. Yeah, I guess I could have made it a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to end up smearing ink all over the place by the time I'm done with this, so I'm going to tape around the edges, and this is the only tape I found that actually sticks well to leather. Sticks well to just about everything. Alright, wish me luck. Really like to not screw this up. Wow, we're going to have to let this dry a long time because it's already softer, the leather. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Alright, I let it dry overnight. That stuff is really on there. So I'm just going to put a thin layer of, this stuff. This Ink Ease stuff. By the way, I should give a shout out to a YouTube channel, Tattooing 101. Great channel. They're the only folks I've found that teach tattooing in a way that's like, hey, there's something you'd like to learn, this is how you do it, instead of telling you, you can't do that, you got to be careful about that, make sure you don't do that. I hate when people do that. They're awesome. And he suggested using Ink Ease, that it was better than Vaseline. So far it does seem to be. It doesn't clog the needles up as much. Oh! One more thing. You know how my old tattoo machine, the pen style one that came in the kit, I think I showed you that the needle kept stopping stuck out. Wasn't that big of a deal. You just kind of bang it like that or turn it back on, it would go in. It started getting worse and worse, and I finally stabbed myself. Not bad, just a little bit. So I got a new one. This is like a mid-range, more adjustable machine. I'll show you later on. I also got like a pretty cheap little battery pack that goes on top, so we're cordless now. I haven't used it too much, so every time I pick it up, I'm looking for the cord to plug it in and constantly trying to find the foot pedal. We don't have time right now to go into it, but in a future video, I'll show you how to take this thing apart. It's so cool. If you're not into tattooing, it doesn't matter, but just the mechanics of it, how this works and the things you can take out and adjust and twist and everything is really pretty sweet. Gotta put my phone on here so you can actually see what I'm doing, but filming with that is a pain because it messes up my podcast. Right now I'm listening to someone yammer on about quantum chromodynamics. Yeah, right, I was thinking the same thing you're thinking. It's about as good as you'd expect on a fake skin, I guess. Most of the lines are there, definitely enough to follow. Probably gonna have to continuously smear a ton of this on here to keep it covered. Oh, you turd. I wasn't gonna use Vaseline. And this stencil is not smearing at all. Like, I don't even think I could get it to smear. One thing I found too is that you're probably going a 1/2 millimeter into this, and then it's like hitting rocks, so you gotta go really freaking light. Yeah, it sounds weird too. It sounds like you're tattooing a book. It's not just the sound, it's also the feel. It feels like you're tattooing with the end of a dull nail or something. You couldn't push on this and get it to go in at all. It just bounces. Kind of makes me wonder if this is a thing. Do people tattoo leather? If only there was a way to find out. I'm busy. Surprisingly enough, this does not... Oops, should have dabbed that ink off of there. It doesn't really cut the leather if you go soft enough on it. It's a pretty professional setup I have here, isn't it? We've only got one good tripod with your fat butt sitting on, so we have to use the iPad in order to hold down the cheap tripod to hold up the camera. The phone, rather. It's real high tech, you probably wouldn't understand. Just so you know, I can't actually see your butt from this side. Gotta say, this is actually working better than I expected it to. Every now and then you're pushing a little blob of ink, you stop and you can watch it get sucked back in there through the holes you just made. Color packs in there quite nicely when what you're tattooing on is dry like that, just soaks it in. It's hard to know what to do now. Usually you'd use the Vaseline to kind of clean the ink spatters off, and sometimes you can wipe off some of the stencil with it. I don't know if I'm making anything better or making it worse by putting this on. You can actually see the smear soak right into where you tattooed, but I don't know if I'm just putting more garbage on the cover of my iPad case that's just going to get on everything else. I don't know. We'll just do a light dressing, let it sit for a minute, and then I'll try to see if I can wipe it all off. I'm just thinking, if you screwed up the surface with a needle, then you put some ink on top of it. Maybe putting some of this on top would kind of seal the ink in. If you've got any input, please tell me right now, because in about 7 seconds it's going to be too late. There's a couple spots with spatters that didn't really come off. I don't know why they soaked in. It's getting a little bit of color off of there. Maybe I shouldn't put so much goop on. Or maybe it's the perfect thing to preserve leather. That looks good. Nice crisp edge. Looks nice. Alright, I'm going to top shelf this here. Leave it for the night. And we'll try sticking the iPad in there tomorrow. Since I got all my tattoo stuff out though, I got one that I've been waiting to finish for months. This nice lady needs a little shading and a little color. I was shuffling some stuff around up there last night to dry out my boots, and after like 20-30 minutes, there's nothing left on here. It's not greasy or anything. If you had your eyes closed, you wouldn't be able to really tell the difference between this and this. I mean, it's a little bit darker. I suppose it kind of conditioned the leather or something. Just because we had all that grease on our fingers, maybe we'll give this a... Ooh, maybe that's not a good idea. This probably needs it. Quick wipe. The only thing I didn't do, and I considered kind of back and forth, is making a cutout for this camera. But the way it all laid out, it was going to be so close to the corner that it didn't really seem worth it. Like the camera on the iPhone is so much better anyway. You know, you get several lenses to choose from that you can just take the picture with that and then put it on the iPad. So I don't think I'd ever really use that. So this is my old sample of crazy hardcore double stick. And then I've also got this, I haven't used it very much. T-Rex super glue tape. High-tech double-sided. Thought I'd try this first. I always like to save this in case I need one piece of something really strong. Let's just try a little piece. See if it holds to the leather and if this will ever come back off of here. I guess given the choice, we don't want it to ever come off. Yeah, that's pretty strong. I think we're going to go with that stuff. Put a couple big strips on there. I wonder what those 3 little contacts are for. Well, we're not using them. Some kind of charger or something. Try to get that right in the back of the crease there. Something tells me that's going to work just fine. I mean, who knows? Maybe over time it'll loosen up. We can try the other tape, but I think that's going to work. That is very cool. But does it work as a stand? It's actually a little bit loose. Oh. That's because the pencil's supposed to be in there. Now it fits perfectly. Do a little bit like that. Look at that. Perfect. Nice angle too. Oh, lovely. Just lovely. It could have come out better, but I don't know how. Jeez, did somebody turn the heater up or something? Or maybe it's just being watched that makes me sweat. Well, now that I'm looking at this thing, I feel like maybe we should put some color in there. Maybe we'll do it a different time. I mean, the ATV, that's not an ATV. The ATV there has nice black and red color scheme, and then of course the still's got that nice orange, and I have the colors, the ink colors for both of those. We'll get to it eventually. The weather's supposed to be pretty good the next few days, so I'm heading back out to work on the kitchen. If you want to come back next week, that's what we'll be doing. Thanks for watching. Don't be afraid to grab some leather and your tattoo machine and an old iPad and an angle grinder and make your own case. I mean, it saves a lot of money if you think... Yeah, no, it doesn't. All right, see you guys. Oh yeah, hey, check this out. Never done any shading before, I don't think. I was a little afraid to screw this thing up, but I think it came out all right. Looks kind of nice with a little bit of color, too. Will wonders never cease?